Our role here is like first building a lot of TIA liquidity and basically making sure that TIA is the most liquid LST. I actually like where Cosmos is right now because it sends urgency and willingness to work together and maybe take steps that are not just incremental, but maybe like take more risk. What I like personally about Cosmos, and I think many of the others are kind of the same opinion, is like we're building stuff that everyone is gonna be applying like across all the blockchain in 2 years from now, more or less, right? And it's a great position to be.
Cool. All right, so I'm here with Mitya Argunov of Drop.
Hey,
thanks for joining
good
me
to see you.
Couch.
Yeah, my pleasure. Comfy.
It's very comfy.
Good to go.
Comfortable because it's about to get.
This is getting spicy.
It's gonna get spicy.
All right, spice needed. That's it.
So how's your week been? How's Cosmoverse for you?
It's been a really good one. For us, we're coming into Cosmoverse after we just announced round. Thank you guys for supporting us for the seed round for Drop. So yeah, there are lots of conversations that we're having here. Obviously, for us, Cosmoverse is like where we meet a lot of partners. So our partners are DeFi protocols, validators, so lots of good conversations going. I'm super tired, which is great. That's
good problem.
That's that's why I'm here. So yeah, can't complain.
And what's the latest with Drop? You guys launched a couple of months ago. You just announced
the
fundraise.
Lots of good stuff.
Yeah.
So fundraise really accelerating from here. So for us, like Atom was our first asset, and for us it was a way to really, let's say, give it a test to our theory about like how we launch these assets, how we basically map out liquidity, how we work with the DeFi partners, what are the use cases that people are excited about, and so on. I think we launched in the worst possible time, kind of, for Atom, like in the middle of the bloodbath. So from the testing perspective, it was actually perfect time because you don't have this kind of advantage of, oh, everyone's excited about this asset and like whatever you do, like you're gonna be successful just because the asset is so exciting right now. So for us, actually, like, from the product perspective, that was really, really good testing ground. Because we didn't have anything that was kind of making product good without good product, let's say. So that was great. And yeah, I think we now have this kind of template that we can apply to the other assets. And this is what's coming basically. So later today, I think we're gonna launch TIA testnet. And there are a few other assets coming, but I'll talk about TIA a little bit. So I think there's a lot of things that are going on around Celestia right now. There are the unlocks that are going to happen in a few days. So there's just way more liquidity that is going to change hands around. It's just a good moment like for everyone like to start using DeFi. And there are also many new launches in DeFi for Celestia. And now we see certain projects that really focus on TIA as a DeFi asset. So Astria, for instance, they're launching their first rollup called Flare, and this is going to be kind of TIA focused rollup. There are also other launches in the ecosystem that kind of treat TIA as a primary asset. So if you compare it to maybe like half a year ago when like first TIA-based LSTs were launching, that was not the case. It was kind of a bit of a vacuum, and therefore like for the users there was not much to do. They were kind of collecting points and such. But now, you can actually do something with these assets, and like our whole thesis is like make liquid, useful LSTs, and now it's actually becoming reality. So pretty excited about that. Another thing actually about TIA is that there were no interchain accounts on Celestia before the latest Lemongrass upgrade, and that meant that basically for everyone launching TIA-based LSTs, they needed to do some kind of a, let's say, trade-off, because basically some sort of a multi-sig based setup was the only way to go. And now with interchain accounts, you could use, like in our case, smart contracts that operate accounts on Celestia, operate staking transactions there. So this setup is way more kind of crypto native and trustless. So yeah, we were also waiting for the Lemongrass upgrade. And
You got a lot of flack, I think, from
that was
that was kind of the FUD around Milky Way was that
right.
we're using this multi-sig.
I was yeah, that was actually kind of funny because there was no opportunity for any LST to launch any other like architecture.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's fair to say like that. Okay, like if you think that Milky Way's product was not secure, like don't use it. Like I don't know the whole heated discussion about it. I think there's like multi-sigs are not ideal. If you have an opportunity to like build a product without using multi-sigs, you should totally do that. But it's a trade-off, let's say. So we were not ready to use multi-sigs, but yeah, it's something that the users can choose this as well, right? Yeah, so it's basically our testnet is ready, launching this basically as we speak, pushing the Twitter announcements and such. So depending on when the podcast goes live, it's probably going to be live by then for a few days.
I'll try to release it around that. So it's
yeah.
relevant. So yeah, TIA unlocks are on November 10th, I think. Is that right?
I thought it was earlier. I thought it was October 31st, but don't quote me on that. That's actually, it could be plus or minus a few days.
So that's like you say, it's gonna unlock a lot of liquidity. A lot of liquidity will change hands. It's an opportunity also for liquid staking protocols that now all of these, the VCs, the angels that invested in Celestia can liquid stake their assets and utilize them in DeFi. It also means that a lot of funds that bought, in the seed and Series A might want to. I mean, a lot of them have OTC'd out of positions, but the people now holding those assets will want to divest those and sell them. How do you think that this is going to affect the market and your position as a liquid staking protocol for Celestia?
I think it's great for us for sure, and as I said, like that's one of the factors, but it also comes in with the factor of there's just like more to do with these assets now. So yeah, I think we'll see like pretty quick increase in liquid staked TIA, and happy of course to work with any DTIA users that want to use it in drop. For I think for the funds that were holding TIA, it's also like the only option that they had was basically just to stake, right? So this is why on TIA we saw like 70% plus staking rate, and we were tracking the unbonding transactions for Celestia in the last few weeks, and I think it's now maybe around like 50 plus million TIA that is like waiting for the unlock. So like the unbonding has started already. So I think we'll see. Like probably in total like 100 plus million TIA kind of floating around around the unlock time, and expect a large portion of it to land with the liquid staking protocols. So yeah, it's like looks like millions of TIA can go into liquid staking protocols, into DeFi around this time. So yeah, it's going to be pretty interesting.
Yeah, I think the TIA unlock is going to be one that like a lot of people are going to be watching, and how that's going to affect the price, but also like how these assets are changing hands, how much utilization in liquid staking will, how much liquid staking utilization will result from the unlock. So like thinking about drop as a liquid staking hub. How do you see the future of drop as a cross-chain protocol? And I ask this in the context of a question that I've been asking a lot these days, either here on this podcast or through panels, is, cross-chain applications are still quite rare.
Yeah.
True cross-chain applications and liquidity flows between ecosystems, with the exception maybe of like Solana and ETH, are still reasonably low. How much, like, what is your vision for drop kind of in this particular place where you're able to provide TIA, Atom liquidity, Cosmos asset liquidity to other ecosystems?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think like talking about many different assets, and I'll kind of go deeper into the TIA situation. But like regardless of the asset, I think now from the user perspective, like in terms of just the UX of staking, I think this kind of fragmentation of the ecosystem is pretty much invisible already. So when you stake drop, you can say, okay, like I have this asset on this chain, I want to stake with drop, and that's it. Like you don't have to think about, oh, my Atom is on osmosis, I have to bridge it first, blah blah blah. It doesn't really matter. So I think from the UX perspective, that's not a huge problem. And I think that's where like what we're building is quite unique, because I don't think there are many more cross-chain smart contracts in the first place. And yeah, that's like a pretty unique kind of pioneering thing, let's say, on the blockchain level in general. But I think there is still some, let's say, liquidity fragmentation that exists in the market. And if you think about kind of liquidity in the context of the ecosystems, it's still pretty much kind of blockchain by blockchain. And it's pretty much defined by the fact that when protocols look at like the liquidity available for them, if you think about lending protocols, for instance, they typically would be looking at what exists on the DEX on the same chain. And it's kind of pretty much universally applied, with some maybe exceptions, like Nolus, for instance, is a good example. So they're kind of looking, oh, here's a neutral liquidity, here's a osmosis liquidity, and they're actually not a truly cross-chain protocol. Again, like there are maybe like 5 of us kind of cross-chain protocols, but I think the change is coming here because actually at here at Cosmos, so we had a few conversations with people who are building protocols that are like looking at the liquidity in the holistic from the holistic perspective, so that you could kind of use them to basically like use liquidity from any DEX, for instance, for your liquidations and such.
Yeah.
So I think this is really coming. I think for TIA specifically, we have a slightly different theory, and just because of how the whole modular ecosystem is going to evolve. So I think for TIA, it's going to be more of a kind of roll-up by roll-up. And we see our role here is like first building a lot of TIA liquidity and basically making sure that TIA is the most liquid LST in general, but also given rollups kind of the driving seat in terms of how it is implemented in the context of their rollup, so that once it's bridged to the rollup, that's like the LST that they own in terms of maybe like branding, in terms of the commercial setup, how the revenue is managed, and in terms of how the governance is implemented there as well. So I think like for us, long-term vision for how DTIA basically thrives is that there's like a liquidity hub for DTIA, and then there's like a custom implementation of this LST in any particular rollup. And I think that kind of speaks to the whole ethos of the modular ecosystem. I think like my sense of Celestia community in general is that they don't really want to see like a one single huge kind of LST which is managed by the DAO, which is not let's say which is not a Celestia DAO. So I think that's the elegant solution for how you put the sovereign rollups really in a situation where they manage what's going on with the LSTs on the rollup, so that they're kind of masters of their destiny. They can manage the kind of value capture. They can share this rewards with the community and such. I think like this is really the direction where it's going for TIA in particular, and yeah, maybe for the rollup ecosystem in general. But yeah, there's also I think maybe a different kind of concept of liquidity management that Initia, for instance, is building. So yeah, I can easily see how it's going to be like a separate story for TIA and for Initia. And from our perspective in general, we kind of think of it ecosystem by ecosystem. They're all really different, and our idea is that you need to respect like how they want to really build their ecosystems. There is I don't think there is kind of one kind of LST solution that works exactly the same and works well for different ecosystems. So yeah, I think that's like from my perspective, that's how it could be sold for Initia. For Atom, I think it's more like there should be a kind of Atom DeFi that that lands kind of somewhere. But also maybe there will be kind of a few different, let's say, a few different DeFi focused projects that kind of specialize in something slightly different. So if this kind of cross-chain liquidity solutions are coming, then it makes very easy to kind of navigate other liquidity across this few ecosystems. So I think I don't think it's like one story for all these assets really.
What about restaking? Yeah, Celestia restaking.
Celestia restaking. So it's gonna happen. That's for sure. I think that we really have like a strong partner here in Milky Way. So they're obviously like super focused on restaking. Like DTA, you will be able to use it as collateral in Milky Way restaking. I think there's also going to be like an interesting design space for like how you build LRTs on top of that. So that's something that I don't know, like not many people talk about so far. But if you look at the Ethereum space, that's kind of LRT designs is really where people now are competing the most. Let's say they have different solutions for how you like staking different types of points. If you apply this like to the interchain ecosystem, or like modular ecosystem, then you could stake with drop. You get like DTA. You can then use it as collateral in Milky Way. All of a sudden, you have now droplets and milk points. You can stack them. It's becoming like really interesting. And then like who knows what kind of LRTs are gonna evolve on top of that. So yeah, I think it's becoming like a pretty interesting game in terms of let's say like first step is going to be like how we optimize towards these different incentive campaigns, and then the second step should be like let's find the demand for like AVSs and such. So I think it's kind of to be seen, to be honest. Like with Ethereum, it's also an open question, I think, in terms of like how many AVSs are actually going to be there and what kind of revenue they will provide. For TIA, same thing. I wouldn't be really, I wouldn't be doing any projections in this regard. I think it's kind of too early to say. I think like maybe like for some investors, it's a good bet to make. We'll see. We're happy to support this as a part of the general DeFi ecosystem. Watching this closely, of course. Like we'll see how this evolves. I don't know. It's very uncertain, like from my perspective, how exactly it's going to go.
One of the things that Drop has been kind of pushing is this idea that liquid stake tokens should have utility in DeFi, and part of your early launch and user onboarding has been encouraging users to liquid stake their assets and then utilize them in DeFi and Astroport, Nolis, and other protocols. Can you talk about the expansion of that work and how fast can you onboard new protocols, and what are some of the barriers to onboarding protocols, maybe outside the DeFi ecosystem of Cosmos, but in Solana? Like how do we get Drop D assets in Solana, in Ethereum, EVM chains?
I think we're definitely going to get them there. It's more or less known process, let's say. From our perspective, it should be like, as I said, like ecosystem by ecosystem, because you want to line up a few things together. You need to have partners that like together they create a compelling use case. So like the minimal viable solution is that you need to set up some DEX liquidity, you need Oracle solution, and then you need a protocol that actually like creates something exciting on top of that. So I know in case of Ethereum, that could be, for instance, Pendle. Pendle is like super interesting for that. Maybe if you think about like injectives of the world or like other ecosystem, kind of same path. So you need to find something exciting, how these assets are bringing something new for these ecosystems, and and then otherwise I think it's kind of more or less a known problem really. What I think is kind of makes it easier is this, like if you can reuse kind of DEX liquidity across the chains. I'm kind of repeating myself, but it's an important problem to solve. I think another one is just how you, and maybe it's actually where I should have started, is how you work with the communities, because kind of on the technical level, it's like ecosystem by ecosystem, but you also need to get the community excited. I think in our experience, like the best way to work with the communities is through the NFT projects, really, because I think they tend to have like very passionate following. They're just cool people that like it's fun to work with them, and you can create something new. They're always looking for like something fun to do. So I think like working through the NFT communities, or like maybe some other projects that like have big presence in this community, and then actually like figuring out something together with them. I think that's like the best path, because you can do this kind of Web 2 way. You can go like, okay, like here's our protocol, like do some BD, onboard some capital, blah blah blah. But I think if you do this like community first, that's way more fun. But it's more natural. Like you get people that are actually excited to work with you. So I think like the community aspect of it is really, really important. So like when we think about this ecosystem, it's like it's more like community first approach when you think, okay, how do we actually like work with the community?
Get people on Solana excited about
exactly. Like maybe they don't care, which is totally fine as well. But yeah, I think you should talk to people first and see. Like at the end of the day, like we should have people who are excited about these assets, right? And they can be excited about for multiple reasons. But yeah, at the end of the day, community first, I'd say.
Yeah. Wow. So what's your, maybe taking a step back here and talking a little about the Cosmos community and Cosmoverse. This is your first Cosmoverse?
It's second one. Yeah, I only went to Istanbul. I missed all the fun in Colombia. Yeah, it's a bummer.
So, but I mean, this has been fun too. I've really enjoyed this Cosmoverse. What's your sense of where Cosmos is at right now? I've asked everybody here this question. Where are we in the Cosmos life cycle?
Yeah, I think Cosmos. I actually like where Cosmos is right now, because it sends some urgency and willingness to work together and maybe let's say maybe take steps that are not just incremental, but maybe like take more risk in terms of how we move the ecosystem further, because I think it was just kind of a bit slow last year in general, and now like my sense is that everyone feels urgency about like specifically, let's say, kind of the part of the ecosystem around Cosmos Hub that, okay, like let's change something. So now we see things starting to move. That's actually pretty good. I think it would be bad if there was this kind of sense of, okay, like things are going well, like we're not going to change much. I feel the opposite, which is cool. So there's that. I think like in terms of the quality of projects that are built in Cosmos, it's absolutely incredible. And I think Cosmos still attracts people who want to build cool stuff. And what I like personally about Cosmos, and I think many of the others are kind of the same opinion, is like we're building stuff that everyone is gonna be applying like across all the blockchain in 2 years from now, more or less, right? And it's a great position to be. So and I think that still remains. So there is this kind of delta in terms of the vision that is still here. So my kind of emotional feeling about it is that there is a lot of kind of energy accumulating right now, and it kind of waits for some kind of a trigger event to actually kind of release all this energy into something new. So I think that's pretty cool. I think it also works with like a lot more activity in Celestia rollups initially launching again. So I really like where space is right now, although it could be, let's say, the current state, just if you ignore the dynamics, if you just do this kind of what's going on right now, maybe it doesn't look that great. We're like almost at the token price wise as well. We're not in the best place, but dynamics wise, I think like early next year is going to be really interesting.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think so too. I think I came into Cosmoverse with the expectation that things would be different from last year. That there would be, I don't know if I'd say a sense of urgency, but definitely that there is a renewed focus
Now.
Yeah. People are focused on, fixing some of the issues with the hub, resolving some of the drama, and that seems to be the case from people I've talked to and things I've seen. So
I feel less kind of fighting kind of within this bubble and more like let's look outside. That's what I wanted to see kind of for Cosmos in general. So it's kind of happening, more of that happening, let's say.
Absolutely. So I guess I don't want to say I'm still I still think that Cosmos is a great ecosystem. I still think that Cosmos, that the stack and the tech and everything that people have been building in this ecosystem is amongst the best pieces of technology in crypto. I'm still unsure about the hub and what the future of the hub would be. I mean, I think there's going to be some things announced very shortly regarding that may or may not change my view on the hub. I'm still holding my Atom since 2019, so
okay.
I haven't dumped it yet. But who knows? Maybe in a couple of weeks I'll change my mind. But for now, my Atom is sitting safely on drop. Accumulating droplets, and I say that everybody out there to if you have Atom and you want to liquid stake it, check out Drop, and they'll be enabling Celestia soon. So you should also unstake your TIA. I should do that too.
Time to unstake some TIA. Try the testnet. Actually, last time when we did the Atom testnet, we received like 150-ish like very detailed feedback forms on the testnet, which was like absolutely amazing in terms of, it was very useful. So we did like a whole kind of mirror board with all the like positive, negative feedback, blah, 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 and then we just executed on the month.
All of the really good. I mean,
thanks.
I mean, it's in part also thanks to the fact that Atom has the LSM, which not a lot of chains have. I don't know why.
Spiciest topic.
But it is a spicy topic, but that just really improves the whole UX of liquid staking and unlocks liquid staking. And I think, unless there's something I'm missing here, chains should enable it to unlock this liquidity for their chains and the utility of their liquidity.
Now we have like another round of drama around LSM. So like subject to these two upcoming audits, as far as I understand, that's the plan now. Maybe like all these concerns are going to be relieved, let's say. I'd love to see this coming. To be honest, like I'm not relying on this at all, like in our plans. There is I actually had two discussions with like two different teams that were potentially interested in building something around that. It's not an unsolvable problem without LSM, in fact, right? Because what do you need to do at the end of the day? Okay, like you unstake, you don't want to wait for 21 days. If you do this just manually, what do you do? You borrow TIA for 21 days, you use it in Drop, like you can start using it right now, and then in 21 days you can just close your debt, and that's it.
But you need collateral, unless you have someone who's taking the risk on that.
Yeah, exactly. So, like in principle, what can be done is you kind of automate the whole flow. And if the user is happy to pay for like the lost rewards in 21 days, which is like around less than 1% actually for TIA, which is I think is a reasonable price to just kind of skip the whole period and start using these assets more productively. Then it's just an automation that needs to be built. Once you start thinking about it, you have like new set of problems, like what does is if the user actually didn't unbond and such. But in principle that's solvable, and from our perspective we actually saw a lot of more stake coming when we activated LSM on the hub. So maybe we'll put it in the roadmap, or maybe we will work with someone else to do like a similar thing for Celestia, for instance, so that let's say it's going. I don't think it's going to be LSM for Celestia, but maybe there's going to be just this kind of automation that just makes it a smoother UX and without all this kind of security concerns on the foundation level for the chain.
Yeah, I hope so. I think it would be great for other chains to enable it and definitely make liquidity a lot more.
That's great UX. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Thanks for your time. Thanks for having me. Cheers.